This is your girl Keisha Sloss with House to Home Realtors, www.credittoclosing.com. How y'all doing out there today? I also got my girl Terry Knotts with Stockton Mortgage and Candace Williams with Ladies First. We're going to start out talking a little bit about credit repair because, as you know, your credit got to be all the way right and tight to be able to purchase that first home, second home, get a brand new car with a good interest rate. And of course, you know, buying a home is a very big financial, it's a good financial empowerment. Not only does it help you, but if you have kids, it helps stabilize them in life as well. So, I'm going to let my girls introduce themselves a little bit, and then we're going to talk a little bit about more of credit repair and what it can do for you. After we talk about that, we're going to talk a little bit about the lending process, and then as a bonus, we're going to talk about First Ladies, which is an overall empowerment, talking about, you know, your health, getting yourself right mentally and financially and spiritually.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right. Go ahead, Ms. Terry.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Terry Knott. I'm a mortgage banker with Stockton Mortgage. I've been in the business over 23 years. My passion is home ownership. I been doing this so long, and another thing is that I want our community to be able to purchase more homes. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Miss Candace.
Yes, my name is Candace Williams, and I am a mother of 3, and I'm very motivated. I love people. So I will be teaming up with Miss Keisha, who is a broker, owns her own business, House to Home. So I'll be a part of her team. And also, so I'm excited, and so stay tuned.
So they can hear you on the radio.
Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about myself briefly. As y'all know, my name is Keisha Sloss, and what kind of got me into the real estate business is actually my grandmother. She owned several homes. She bought real estate basically, you know, to provide for her kids and for them to always have a place to stay. And I believe I was probably about 10 years old, and she actually had a guy come over, and he kept trying to get her to sign these papers. And I didn't really know what was going on at the time, but I was like, Granny, you know, what is this that you're signing? Do you know what you're signing? And she was like, oh, baby, I trust him. Long story short, he ended up getting her for majority of her houses. And when she passed away, out of all those houses that she had, she only ended up with one. So to me, it's very important to educate people on home ownership. So the first thing that we're going to talk about, of course, is your credit, because without credit, you ain't going to be able to get approved. Also, credit, even if you don't want to purchase a home at the moment, you still want to have good credit because, you know, like a lot of apartments and jobs are even looking at your credit report nowadays. I also own a credit repair company. It's called Credit Matters. If you need it, majority of the time people think that they need it and they don't. I charge $100 for the first month to get you started, and then it's $35 a month afterwards. What I do is we will, you know, get together and I will, you know, review all 3 credit reports, because when you're looking at credit, like say for instance you look at TransUnion and you don't look at Experian, it could be something on there that is not on one or the other. So you want, when you're trying to look at your credit and dispute, you want to make sure you go to a company like Privacy Guard or Credit Sesame or somewhere that you can view all three at one time. That's very important. So what we'll do, we'll sit down and evaluate your credit to see if you even need it. Sometimes people, you might have a few medical bills on there, and if they're really low, the lenders, and Terry can, vouch for that, they're not going to be that concerned about it, because the thing about medical bills, everyone have them, and there's always a discrepancy with them. So they're kind of easy to dispute off of your credit report majority of the time. Now, the thing about credit is, if you sit and talk to that collection agency and you make any type of agreement, and then you try to dispute, it's going to be pretty hard. Even if it's a hospital bill, if you talk to anyone about your credit and they record it, majority of the time they're gonna fight, and this, you're gonna probably get denied that dispute. So if you're thinking about getting credit repair, do not talk to the collection companies, the creditors. Just wait and and see. Now, sometimes you have to, if you're getting garnished. If you're getting garnished, then that's on a whole new level. Like, that's something that you probably want to talk to an attorney about. So that's the first thing when you dealing with credit repair. Now, not always everything is going to come off, and sometimes you really have to be careful, because even if they can get everything deleted, doesn't mean that it can't come back in another form. So don't think. Sometimes some stuff that you just have to take care of. If you gotta hold yourself accountable sometimes. So that's the first thing. So after we see if you need the credit repair or whatever, we'll set up and get your credit disputed. Also, even with getting your credit disputed, sometimes you might not need credit repair. A lot of times people don't realize they need just to boost their score, and there's different ways of doing that. And it's really like a one-on-one basis. Everyone is different. There's different ways you can increase your score. Like, you can get a secured credit card. You can use like your rent. You can sometimes even use your utility bills. So there's different ways. That's why I sit down with each individual and see exactly what we need to do to get your score so you can get pre-approved for a home. So once we, get you there, we get everything disputed, get your score up, the next thing that we do is get you pre-approved. So Miss Terry can talk more about that. She's, like she said, she's been in the business long enough to where she knows the ins and outs, and she can really get you together. I really have a lot of respect for this lady, because she's more hands-on with people. She don't just text you. She's gonna really, call you, and not only keep you updated, but she keeps the realtors updated as well, and that means a whole lot. So the relationship is really there, and I think y'all can benefit from being with her as a lender.
Thank you, Keisha. Like Keisha said, the first step is getting the credit repair. That helps out a whole lot instead of coming straight to the mortgage banker, because I can help you with your credit also, but depending on how much has to be done, I may refer you to credit repair. So if you do go to the credit repair place first, then that will make your process faster. Once you are ready, which I love about Keisha, she gets everyone ready before I look at their paperwork. And then I know what their scores are, which will determine what type of loan product we can go with. She does make sure that you're ready to go with any product that we have, but the scores can range from 580 and up. We can do loans at 580, but your interest rate may be a little bit more than someone that is purchased that has a credit score of 680 or 700. But again, my goal is to make sure I put you in the right product. So when you're getting pre-approved, I tell people I've been there. My first purchase was a home. I never lived in an apartment, so I know how it feels. I know that you're nervous, and that was one of the other reasons why I started to be a mortgage banker. Because I went through that process. I was really scared, and I really would have wanted to know more up front before I made that purchase. But now that I know what it takes to help that buyer to, basically have a better flow of the whole process, then that's what I work on, to first meet you in person. I like to do that if we can. I know everybody's schedules are different, but if we can't meet in person, then we can do everything over the phone so that you understand the whole process. So basically, now that you have went through credit repair, I would have to pull your credit just to see again where your score is, and from there you would need documentation so that I can actually do a pre-approval, and that would be your pay stubs, your 2 most recent pay stubs, your W-2s and tax returns, and 2 of your most recent bank statements. And this is all documentation that an underwriter needs so that when we do submit your application, we see all of this up front and there's no issues that come up through the process. And that's another thing that I like to do, is just to make sure that I have all that information, because I don't want anybody going through the process to find out later that they had something on their tax return that we didn't see in the beginning, and now you have went out and wrote a contract and we have an issue. So again, the best thing is just to get your paperwork into me. We go over it together. Some of the things in this industry, as far as that will hold a process up in the pre-approval, is bank statements. I always like to talk about bank statements because we're always depositing, transferring money from one account to the other. And the biggest thing with that is that we want to make sure that it's all paper trail. You can't just save cash at home like we used to under our mattress and put it in the bank. We can't do that anymore. So I look at your deposits and say, hey, where did this come from? My other thing is I make sure that my customer knows I'm your friend. I'm on your side. I'm not going to set you up for failure. So if you have a cash deposit of $500, we don't know where it came from, well, we're going to have to work it out. We're going to have to see what we can do to make sure you still have the funds that you need to close. The other thing that I specialize in is affordable housing. I work with a lot of the programs out here that help with down payment assistance. Kentucky Housing Corporation is big. They always have something for their for homeowners. Louisville Metro Housing, they still have money right now. Well, they help with your down payment and closing costs. These are all great programs to where you still need to save some money, but you don't have to use all your money for down payment and closing costs. There's a lot of places like River City Housing that actually go in and rehab loans. There's programs that I do with FHA that you can go in and you love the house, you love the area, but it just needs a lot of work. There's a 203K loan that we can do to go in and rehab the house, just like you want it. So again, there is a lot involved in this process. I tell people it's just like a wedding. It's like you start out, you've got all these people you're relying on. You get through the process, and it seems like everything's smooth, and something may